In the Odyssey, the king of Ithaca, Odysseus, embarks on a journey to return home after the Trojan War. Crossing the Mediterranean Sea with his men, they find themselves battling the elements, an array of deadly obstacles and mythical creatures along the way. I was a big fan of this movie, and it got me thinking just how accurate were Christopher Nolan's depictions of some of the beasts of mythology. In case you couldn't guess, there will be spoilers for the Odyssey. If you don't want to be spoiled, click my channel icon and watch my Wendigo video instead. Starting with the first monster the crew encountered, the Cyclops. Odysseus and his men stumble into a cave, the cave of a giant Cyclops. He traps Odysseus and his men inside his cave and eats several of them. The survivors blind him with a sharpened stake and escape by blending in with his flock of sheep. The Cyclops prays to Poseidon after being blinded, while Odysseus stupidly fires an arrow back into the cave, right before they were about to escape, making him angrier. The Cyclops' prayer worked, and a monstrous typhoon ensued that killed half the crew. In terms of the monster sequences, this was easily my favorite of the whole movie. It plays like a horror movie. The Cyclops looks terrifying, and the sound of his screeching was so loud and kind of anxiety-inducing. It felt like he was about to bust through the theater wall and come eat everyone watching the movie. But just who is this Cyclops? This is Polyphemus. He was the best-known member of the Cyclopes, a race of enormous one-eyed giants found throughout Greek mythology. He was the son of Poseidon, god of the sea, and the sea nymph Thoosa, making him a demigod of immense power. Unlike the master craftsman Cyclopes who forged Zeus's thunderbolts, Polyphemus belonged to a more primitive race that lived in isolation, herding sheep and obeying no laws or kings. Ancient Greeks often used him as the embodiment of savagery, the complete opposite of civilization. Later myths softened his image, portraying him as a lovesick giant, hopelessly devoted to the sea nymph Galatea, revealing that even the most monstrous beings could possess deeply human emotions. He can talk. In the movie, he sorta kinda does talk during his prayer. He says, "Father Poseidon, they've blinded me. Vengeance, Father, vengeance for me." You'd be forgiven for not catching that, considering your ears were probably bleeding from his freakout earlier, and the audio was pretty distorted, and there is no element of trickery of the crew trying to get him drunk to confuse him. No, nobody blinded me line. They just stab him in the eye and run. But honestly, I like Nolan's depiction. I don't mind the giant cannibalistic monster being optimized for scariness. Later on, different land, Odysseus and his men encounter a normal human-looking child in the forest. They try to be friendly, but she screams and summons a bunch of giant soldiers who tower over Odysseus's men. These guys are huge, easily over 11 to 12 feet tall. They attack, and Odysseus's crew has no chance and gets absolutely wrecked in combat. They retreat and are able to flee, but they lose another massive amount of men, and also get one of their ships destroyed in the process. So just who are these guys? These are the Laestrygonians. The Laestrygonians were a legendary race of giant cannibals, believed to inhabit the distant edges of the known world. Ruled by King Antiphates, they lived in fortified cities and possessed an organized society despite their monstrous nature. Unlike many beasts of Greek mythology, the Laestrygonians were fully intelligent and capable of speech, yet they did not view humans as equals. They saw us as weak little prey. Their myths represent one of the recurring Greek fears of venturing beyond the boundaries of civilization, where familiar customs no longer applied, and strangers could become food instead of guests. In ancient literature, they symbolize the dangers of the unknown and the terrifying consequences of exploring lands beyond the Greek world. And I think Nolan depicts that really well. Odysseus and his men stuck their noses somewhere they probably shouldn't have, and got their asses kicked by a bunch of hulking brutes because of it. The next is a woman living on the island of Aiaia. She offers Odysseus's men food laced with drugs, causing them to eat uncontrollably before grotesquely transforming into pigs, a physical expression of what she views as their true nature. Odysseus is off hunting when the transformations occur. He finds out what she did after one of the animals he shoots changes back into their human form. She eventually agrees to turn them back to humans, and actually helps by directing them towards the underworld. This is Circe. Circe was a divine enchantress, usually described as the daughter of Helios, the Titan god of the sun, and the Oceanid Perse, making her the sister of the sorcerer king Aias and the aunt of Medea. She lived on the isolated island of Aiaia, where she ruled over a palace surrounded by tame wolves and lions, animals that had once been humans transformed through her magic. Renowned throughout Greek mythology for her mastery of herbs, potions, and enchantments, Circe possessed the power to alter both body and mind. Circe represents both the dangerous allure of supernatural power and the wisdom that can come from mastering it. Polyphemus was probably the coolest and scariest, but this was easily the most disturbing. For me at least, that transformation of the men eating uncontrollably and morphing into pigs is like some deep web torture video stuff. Then the sequence with the sea monsters. One isn't really an animate monster, it was a whirlpool that they narrowly dodged. And right after a creature with 6 long-necked heads, 12 feet, and snapping dogs around her waist, snatches away some of the crew from the ship, and that's pretty much it. It's a very quick sequence. The whirlpool wasn't just random bad luck with weather itself. It's caused by a giant creature named Charybdis, usually depicted not as a traditional monster, but as a colossal sea creature or living abyss capable of swallowing and expelling the ocean 3 times each day. And the big tentacle thing, that's Scylla, a monstrous predator, often described as having 6 long necks, ending in savage heads lined with rows of razor-sharp teeth, while 12 tentacle-like legs anchored her to the cliffs. Later myths claim she was once a beautiful sea nymph, transformed into a monster by divine jealousy. And to be honest, I feel like the movie skipped over these 2 way too quickly. Would have liked to have seen them get more screen time. You might have been wondering during the movie why the crew decided to cover their ears with wax during their voyage. And why did that guy take them off and jump off the ship, swimming towards shore? That would be because of the Sirens. The Sirens were supernatural beings whose irresistible voices lured travelers toward destruction. Contrary to popular modern portrayals, the earliest Greek artists depicted them as creatures with the bodies of birds and the heads or torsos of women rather than mermaids. Their origins vary across ancient sources, with many traditions describing them as daughters of the river god Achelous and one of the Muses. The Sirens did not rely on physical strength. Instead, their weapon was irresistible knowledge and desire. Their songs promised wisdom, glory, and answers to life's greatest mysteries, exploiting humanity's endless curiosity. In Greek thought, they symbolized temptation itself, the seductive pursuit of forbidden knowledge, vanity, or desire that ultimately leads to ruin. That's why this guy jumped. Bro was starving. But now I will turn the tables onto you. Which was your favorite monster? Are your ears still tingling from hearing Polyphemus screeching? Let me know in the comment below, and be sure to subscribe. I'll see you all later.